Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show about monks in the world of Warcraft.
6.2 has hit the PTR, Windwalkers got their nerfs nerfed, Brewmasters won't be shufflin, and we are Revival ChiBurst. This is Monk Meditation, episode 46. Welcome everyone to the show. I'm Lou, your host. While Chai is away in Vegas, hopefully staying out of trouble, we've had a lot of news come down, and it's just the early bits of it. So, before we start freaking out, let's check in with tonight's hosts on WoW and Now.
Storm, Earth,
and fire!
So first, since we've got a lot of moving going on amongst the hosts, Daikatsu, how have you been?
I have been playing a very unfun game. It's called Move to Orlando. It has a lot of bosses, and instead of damage per second, the key component is money per transaction. And it's freaking expensive. Mainly because the repair bills are obscene. In the last month, I think I've killed a total of 10 bosses, including doubles. And I believe 8 of them were in LFR.
Oh,
Were you playing a healer, DPS? Were you tanking the situation? I mean...
I was playing on my Death Knight.
Ooh, okay.
We did miss you this Friday.
Wow.
Yes. Sadly, it's all coming to a head this week, and we are not prepared in the slightest. But next week should be much more quiet when I start my new job.
So we hope. So,
yeah. Get
so
back
Eric,
to some order of
how about
semblance.
you? How have you been this fine couple weeks?
It's right. It's been a while, guys. Hello. Nice to see everybody again. It's been raiding. We've been raiding. Working as intended. We're farming the instance in a night and an hour-ish. So we're kind of itching. We got that itch. We got that mythic itch. And there's no such cream for that.
The whole instance? Or just certain bosses? That's fast.
One night plus an hour, I should say.
Okay. I'm about to say, we clear Heroic in 2 hours, so an hour is insane.
No, that'd be fun. That'd be ideal. So yeah, we're working on achievements right now because we have almost enough people to get back into Mythics. It's exciting.
Oh, that's good.
So,
how many achievements y'all have left as a group?
Most. We got Aknor for everybody. We got Aknor. The steel has been brought. We brought it twice now. It's been good. Otherwise, I have a paladin, and he's level 100 now, and I'm making things shiny again. It's good. So
we're starting summer paladin perspective.
Exactly. We got this down, guys.
I myself have been out for a little bit. I think everybody was actually just out last show. So we had the Mistweaver Roundtable. I actually had something
opposite of last week's show. Chai was the only one here, and he had a bunch of guests. Now Chai's out, and it's us.
Yep. Yeah, and now we're running the monkeys are running the show.
Yep.
Buckle up, kids. This is going to be a good one.
Yes, it is.
I had something
Best
pop
show
up
NA.
in Texas that I had to take care of, so I did a very quick drive down there, got it taken care of, drove right back here to Pittsburgh, and then the next weekend after that, I had to drive back down to Tennessee to participate in the Mountain Man March, where I was forced to quit by medical staff. Almost done. And then in WoW news, though, when I came back premeditated, we kicked over Gruul. We're now 5 of 10 Mythic, finally. And then we began wiping on Kromog, seeing a few 10% pulls, so we'll probably kill him, I hope, this week. And then Rolling Thunder got Heroic Hans and Franz and Heroic Flamebender down. So another 2 bosses. That puts us at 3 at 10. I think we're going to Orager next. So there's that. Having a lot of fun, even though I'm not monking. We miss you, Daikatsu and Polly. You can hear the sound of my voice. Come back to us. We miss you. But since we know that everybody's here to listen to us tell how the sky is falling and whatnot, let's keep our spirits up while this world changes around you.
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
Uplift. Don't worry, I'm sure it happens to other monks too.
So, if you've been paying attention at all to pretty much any source of World of Warcraft news, 6.2 dropped, which is funny because I vaguely remember us talking about when we think it might drop that same Monday in GroupMe, Duke. About, this is when I think it'll drop. It'll be like a week or two, and then that night it just all over.
Surprise!
Yeah, really.
So, in this, we already have mythic set, tier armor sets and stuff that you can go look at. The normal heroic. Keep in mind that there might be some slight changes and edits. What do you guys think about the sets? I think they're a little plain, personally, but that might not be a bad thing. I don't know how much you guys have looked at them.
You know,
I'll let Air go.
I remember a few weeks back, we were talking about this. What would you design for the next tier set? And I'm pretty sure I know, that I remember talking about that it would be nice to get back to that kind of monk archetype set. And this gets there, but it's missing that panache, that special something that we really need to really bring forth the pain.
Massive shoulder spikes.
That is horrid. We're lions here. We don't do spikes.
And here comes the Pandarian Pummelers football team.
It's almost there. I like the fell energy kind of coming out. How they got the kind of fell branches of tree stuff on all of the other
stuff.
sets.
And we get some very traditionalist kind of. Here's some kind of plain robes that you'd see at a monastery somewhere. Enjoy.
So yeah, I mean, they got to do something around the neck. It's almost like they're trying to alter what we had for tier 16. 14?
Yeah.
16.
14 had the beads, the big old
Yep.
like D3 beads.
So I mean, you can probably combine that with the Siege of Orgrimmar set, and hey, we got something going here. I like a little symbol on the head. I don't know the language, but it probably means something cool, right?
Yeah. You know what? If you don't
think
know
it's
what it
just a
means, it's
dragon.
probably cool. It's probably cool.
Yeah.
And then to accompany these, we obviously got our very work in progress, as evident by the Brewmaster 4-piece set bonuses. So we'll start off with Mistweaver, since we have none, and we're going to just kind of gracefully glide by the fact that we don't have an active Mistweaver on right now.
I'm gonna pretend we understand what's going on.
Yeah, we can pretend. I'm really good at pretending, and I will sound like I know what the heck I'm talking about, but if someone who actually knows gets on me, I'm probably screwed. But we're going to ignore that part. 2-piece. Your Renewing Mist also applies Extend Life to the initial target, instantly healing them for 25,000 and increasing all healing done to them by 15% for 12 seconds. So throw it on the tank a lot, so
Basically.
that your Holy Paladin can do their job better and be better than you still. I wonder if that includes Absorbs, though. Because then the Disc Priest can also do their job better. Thanks to you.
Absorbs counts as healing. So, yeah, I
You're
would
now- you are
imagine
a
that
team
any
player.
healing spells are now 15%, which means every healer wants the monk to get 2-piece first.
So if it does stay 12 seconds, Renewing Mist is excluding Pool of Mist, is an 8-second cooldown. You could theoretically keep up this buff on the tanks at all times.
Yep.
So that might be a thing, and you might be getting screamed at for that. We'll see if that gets changed for something. The instant heal is kind of nice. That's kind of cool. Air, in your expert Mistweaver opinion, what you think?
I think we're going to see a lot of healing go out. There's going to be a lot of mist. It's
Okay.
going to be. We're
Maybe
going to feel a lot of
few balls
uplift.
on the ground there.
Yeah, it's
Few
a very
balls?
uplifting
Okay.
set piece. And I hear that from the general hula-boo of information that we can get, that they might like it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, all right. Thank you. Back to you, Steve. So, and then 4-piece, when you heal with Enveloping Mist or Uplift, 50% of the heal is also applied to targets with your Extend Life effect. Okay. So, more healing.
Cool.
Hooray.
So,
So now
everyone
we
else
have-
gets a 15%, and your 2 main spells that you probably wouldn't use on a tank tank. Well, you'd use enveloping mist on a tank. Does anyone use enveloping mist right now?
I no, because the Holy Paladin's got it covered. We basically have baby beacons with uplift. We have baby beacons.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Baby beacons. So just looking at the Mistweaver set bonuses, there's one, in my opinion, problem I see right now. Obviously, it's early. Crane stance. Where is it?
Yeah. What crane stance?
Yeah. Is that getting removed in 6.2 along with Shuffle's stagger? No salt here at all.
In 6.2, we removed fun.
So I fully expect...
That's a preview for later down the show, guys.
Yeah.
I fully expect later on that we'll see them add some crane stance. I would hope so, because they did with the tier 17, and I think that was awesome. And I know a lot of people really liked the crane stance bonus, so I'd be surprised if we didn't see it. Moving on to what you not experts can speak about, though, Windwalker. So, Air, would you like to go over the Windwalker two-piece?
Yeah, so our two-piece set, our Rising Sun Kick, now has a chance to generate a combo breaker. Yay?
Ooh.
I mean, free blackout kicks, free tiger palms. I mean, it doesn't say which combo breaker, right?
It just means a combo breaker, but there is no combo breaker Rising Sun Kick, so don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, so that's we gotta wait a little bit for that.
So here's my question then. I remember back in tier 14 when combo breaker used to be the mastery, and how a lot of times that ended up being more of a nuisance than anything. Is your rotation or buttons that you have to upkeep so tight that this might end up being a nuisance or something you don't really notice?
We're not yet GCD capped, so it's more free buttons. So every now and then we do have a little bit of downtime with our energy, and especially when we look how this is going to interact with our 4-piece, could be interesting to suddenly have to hit a button. Obviously, we're not hitting Tiger Palm like right away. We're trying to wait for that to get a little bit lower. So that's just, you save a little bit chi that way, and extra blackout kicks. Like, we need more blackout kicks because
more chi explosions.
I'll take that. That's fun.
Right.
When you look at our 4-piece,
you want to go ahead and go over that then, real quick?
Yeah, synergizes a little bit. So it increases our chance for our combo breaker by 3%, and we get a maximum energy increase of 10. So we go from 40 energy to 50 energy, a little bit more combo breaker for our combo breaker.
From 100 to 110 energy.
Sorry. Yes. Wrong spell.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get a little bit extra energy to play with, which will maybe help us keep from capping.
It's nice, but basically it means you want more haste now.
Yeah.
Haste is getting stronger. That's what your tier pieces essentially turn into as a Windwalker. It's like haste, nummy.
So I saw Callie say something about it devaluing haste. I'm assuming that in reference to 2-piece. So 2-piece devalues until you have 4-piece is
exactly.
So is that okay? That's kind of
it makes no sense whatsoever to increase our maximum energy. It actually would be a little bit better if it maybe took off 5 energy from the cost of jab. That might actually accomplish more what they're looking to do.
Okay. And then also the devalued because of the change. We'll get to the Tiger Strikes change in a bit as well.
We'll get to the part where they patched out fun. Don't worry.
Yep, we will get to the nerfed fun part. We're working on it.
So how much energy would a gnome have?
I'm sorry?
How much energy does a gnome get then?
120, I believe.
It's a lot of energy.
That's a lot of energy. That's almost... Actually, by the time that you can regen it, that's probably 3 jabs in a row.
Ooh.
So chi explosion was 6 chi.
So gnome,
4
best
chi
race, and a confirmed.
I guess... Wow. I'm not thinking anything, guys. I'm not thinking anything. Pandas are currently mathematically superior.
Okay, right. Well, let's get you... we're going to cut this off then and get you off that line of thinking about going gnome again. And we're going to talk about Brewmaster pieces. I'm not even going to bother with the 4-piece because I don't know when having 5,000% of your hit points is relevant to anything. So we're going to ignore that for now.
There's only one boss, and it was 2 expansions ago.
So, yeah, unless we're going against Balrog again and we're gonna let that buff stack, I think that's not an issue. So, eagerly awaiting our actual 4-piece, or at least a version of it. The 2-piece, however, is a little bit more interesting, and its Desperate Measures now occurs at 50% health or below versus 35%. This is all coming on a tier where our stagger's been lowered, so we're going to take bigger upfront physical hits. Stagger doesn't work on a lot of the things it used to work on, and we also have a lot more magic damage incoming, so we weren't going to reduce it anyway. Duke, you have any thoughts at all? I have lots of thoughts.
You know, if they're looking to make the most, I mean, granted, the current tier piece bonus for Brewmasters are yawn worthy, but that's because they don't matter in the long run. It's like the tier bonuses actually kind of get in your way a little bit. This one just kind of like, well, that's nice, I suppose. Like there's nice. No real strong opinion. It's probably the most boring tier bonus I've seen.
But it's useful. Like I would go for that.
Yeah.
I would actually go for that. That's nice because especially with us taking more upfront damage, we're definitely going to dip. We don't want to dip into that danger zone as quickly because right now we kind of get tickled into the danger zone, and now we're looking at potentially getting spiked into the danger zone and spikes that kills tanked, and this will give us better recovery.
Right,
we'll kind of see how that plays out.
The whole problem for me is that it reads like a glyph.
Yeah. We have the expel harm glyph, which will make this even better. Which I mean, everyone runs anyway. That I almost would say needs to be just baked in baseline, but who knows anymore, right?
Exactly.
So, and then
these are all subject to change.
4-piece may as well just read the boss instantly dies and gives you loot because that's about how useful the information on that is.
So if the 2-piece is Desperate Measures occurs when you're at half health, for the 4 pieces, Desperate Measure occurs when you're at 1,000 times your health.
Yep. Sounds good. Print release. We're ready.
Yep.
6.2 is done. Hellfire Citadel tomorrow. Tuesday reset. We also got the introduction of class and spec specific trinkets, and there's a bit of a split, at least from my peers. I've noticed some people think these are like the coolest things ever and they're awesome, and then there's some in the other camp, and it'll probably become clear which camp I'm in, that think that they're not so great and they're just gonna be another problem on top of some other problems. But we're gonna smile and grin about this, and we're gonna start with Windwalkers.
Okay.
Duke, you want to go ahead and talk about the Furious Sun?
Sure. So all of these class spec specific trinkets drop off of Archimond, as far as we can tell, which is probably going to be the second to last boss.
He's the last boss,
Windwalker,
actually. Per the
last boss now?
Yeah, he's the last.
Oh, God. Never mind. Furious Sun. You have a 25%. Up to 33.08% for the Mythic version. Chance to perform a free Rising Sun Kick after each Fists of Fury, Blackout Kick, or normal Rising Sun Kick.
I like that.
I suppose that's nice. It's good for the damage it does, but I hope that it sticks around long enough for at least me to use it when Rising Sun Kick maybe has a couple of seconds left. Because if I'm doing 2 Rising Sun Kicks in a row, the damage is kind of nice, but I probably could have done something else with that GCD.
Yeah, does the free one reset the cooldown on it?
I don't know. That's something that needs to be tested.
Yeah,
that we need smart people or ourselves.
Yeah,
I'm actually in the process of downloading the PTR myself, but we need to. That's something definitely to test because that could be really funny to watch, animation after animation, or if it's just a reset or what. Yeah, I mean, but here's my question. You have X trinket with agility and a multi-strike proc or on-use multi-strike, and this trinket, which do you take? Like, out off the top of your head right now, without any math, before Callie and Tina sees this.
Oh, hold on. I'm getting from Hina that you just automatically Rising Sun Kick.
It's a separate RSK spell ID. So you hit it.
You hit
It's
it,
like a
and suddenly
multi-strike.
your monk goes backflip twice.
Nice.
Oh,
I'm totally for that. That sounds
So
awesome.
That's a little bit better. I don't like. There's a larger theme to 6.2 that I'm not that fond of, and we'll get to that with the with the spec changes later.
Okay. Well, Air, since you're the happy one in this show, I'm supposed to be the grumpy one. Daikatsu's going in on my spot. What do you think of the Furious
Going
Sun?
for that salt.
No, I mean I'm thinking like these are very interesting trinkets as a whole, and they will definitely add something special, hopefully, to each class by the final tuning phase. For the Windwalker, I think it's really neat. It's like a multi-strike of your Rising Sun kick on any of your damaging abilities, which, how can that not be cool? You know? It's, as far as like the value of the secondary stats versus the trinket itself. Because the trinket, does it have any stats on it whatsoever?
This one, so far as we know, no. It's just
Yeah,
this-
so
It's just that.
So
It's just a third tier bonus.
Yeah,
Yes.
for this one in particular, it's a very passive thing, though. And I guess, I mean, if you don't mind, if you like passive because it's one less thing to worry about, that's cool. I know a lot of people do aren't a big fan of things you don't interact with at all. But continuing on, because we don't want to get too bogged down in this yet, we have a part for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you're gonna hate this show.
It's not our fault that he decided he needed to go to Vegas while he let like salt everywhere. There's the salt mines open.
He's near the salt flats. It should be the other way around.
You know, I should have replaced my background with just the opening of a salt mine or something, because that's what we need.
Just a picture of Morton's.
On topic, Mistweaver, Soothing Breeze. Air, go ahead and read this off for us, if you wouldn't mind, kind sir.
Yeah, so Soothing Breeze, what it's doing is your Soothing Mist also heals allies around the target for 15%, up from 19.8. Oh, it's up to 19.85% from Mythic, because Mythic is better, of your primary target. So
consistently
Mist is
trinket.
Yeah.
A nice little bit of splash.
Mm-hmm. Mist is good. Mist flows. And if you can weave the mist, it will flow to where it needs to go.
So what you're saying is monks were struggling with stacked AoE healing, and they wanted to give us more tools to deal with what we were normally weak against.
Wait. We excel at stacked AoE healing only because we cannot pick where the healing goes, so we ask everyone to stand. Now we can pick.
Yeah.
Hey, stand next to the guy getting, my beaming laser focus on. Stand next to him.
Everybody stack on the tanks.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to say this again, same with the 2-piece and 4-piece. Where's Crane Stance? Where's that?
Where's what?
No, that's
Where's
fair.
Where's Crane Stance?
What?
Woman? This is concerning to me, I think. I feel like they're hard separating. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. They're hard separating it now. And I liked there was interactions for both of them. I'm kind of disappointed on that, Mark. So I could also just be going a little deep in the salt mines right now. But
The question for me right now is it heals around the target for 15% of the primary target. Is that everyone around the primary target gets 15% of your Soothing Mist heal? Or is it 15% with AoE reductions going on
like
when you
splits.
Yeah, like it's 15%. So if you have 5 people, each one of them gets 3% more. So we'll see. It's something that will come about in testing. An extra 15% won't make or break anything, but it's a nice little bit of healing that you can do to a bunch of people. If one just got hit, the other healers can kind of look elsewhere for a bit while you bring these people back up to 100%.
I will say the one thing I do like, aside from the fact that it's only half of the spec, is it's consistent. Like, you know what you're getting when you when you use the ability tied to it. And as a healing trinket or something that affects healers, I do like consistency, because when you're healing, you don't, until you get to like ludicrous levels, you don't count on RNG. Like, you don't want to count on a crit or a multi-strike. Something like this, though, is consistent. I soothe, I heal around it. It might tickle them, but I know I'm getting it. So there is some value to that, and I kind of like it that it's at the very least consistent. And then finally, the last one is Brewmaster, and it's called Eluding Movements. And as it stands right now, when you drop below 55%, which scales up to 72.77 for the Mythic version, you gain a charge of Elusive Brew. Elusive Brew also increases your damage by 7%, so Elusive Brew suddenly became a DPS cooldown too. Hooray. To put this in perspective, the Heroic version, which is 60-some%, I can't tell you off the top of my head, a Heroic boss will generally take you down below that within about 2 melee swings, if you don't dodge or parry it. So it's actually going to be a pretty big increase to crit, or I'm sorry, not crit, Elusive Brew, and its uptime while you're actively tanking. I guess biggest problem with it is it's still dependent on RNG. We're still just pouring it into the RNG mitigation, which is okay, I guess. It also doesn't matter as much because it's
what's RNG about it? Because it's automatic.
No,
hey, you're below
Brew,
X health. Here's your brew.
The fact Elusive Brew is a dodge. It's a dodge chance. Yeah. That's not the Elusive Brew stack. That's consistent.
Okay. You're not talking about the trinket itself being RNG like the Windwalker version.
It's feeding our RNG mitigation part of our toolkit.
Right. Okay.
But there is the advantage that we do get a damage buff from it. So I guess that kind of balances out. I believe Warriors and Guardian Druids, theirs is flat mitigation, but they don't get any damage from it. So that's the thing. That might stay, that might change. It might be a sort of balancing act against it. Considering most of the threatening damage, as it seems right now in Dungeon Journal, is magic damage, this will be nice, but I don't think it's going to be like anything game-breaking other than the fact we get more damage, which also be why they might not undo the changes we're about to talk about in a few minutes here. Duke, Air, anything from y'all? Are you bowing down to your Brewmaster's Overlords probably getting the better of the 3 trinkets? Yes?
I don't know if it's the better of the 3, but it's probably the most useful of the 3.
Yeah. And having, the fact that Elusive Brew kind of turns into a mechanic almost like Tiger's Eye Brew totally jives with me as a Windwalker.
Well, you're going Brewmaster, right? That's what's going to happen. We're going to just kind of shift you on it.
I have a Brewmaster spec, and I do play it on occasion, although I did forget how to tank the dogs in Flame Bender the other night as a paladin. But it's fun to play. Brewmaster is a blast, especially when trying to solo stuff.
Oh, just wait till we get to this next part. Because now we're going to start talking about class changes. Because this is where the love and happiness. And 1 second here, I'm going to open up the salt mine real quick for everyone. Just let it flow.
We need to get that Professor Putricide. Good news, everyone.
Good news, everyone.
Yeah,
everybody. It's a suppository. So just general, all specs. Yeah, all specs. This includes Brewmaster, Windwalker, and Mistweaver. Blackout Kick now deals 5% less damage. Provoke now has a 30-yard range, down from 40. Tire Palm.
40 is OP.
Yeah. Tire Palm now does 5% less damage. Rising Sun Kick now deals 5% less damage. Tiger Strikes no longer triggers for multi-strikes, but now provides a 40% increase to multi-strike while action. Duke and Air, that one in particular, could you talk a little bit about that?
It's a nerf.
It's a bigger number.
It's a larger number, but the problem is that now Tiger Strikes is going to be active less often. And this is a change that, while we talked about before, having more energy means, haste, you won't get energy cap, so more haste is good. This devalues haste like you would not believe. This makes you not want haste, because now it's going to be a 40% increase. That's nice, but it won't trigger from multi-strikes. And the reason why makes sense. They don't want Tiger Strikes double dipping. Right? So logically, it makes sense. But it was the one interaction we had. With multi-strike, we got more multi-strikes, and that made more tiger strikes. So multi-strike actually benefited you because you ended up with more multi-strike. But now multi-strike is just a kind of nice crit.
So like when we talked earlier, about that the 4 pieces, like haste. Yes, all right, haste. Now this happens.
Yeah, and it's like God.
You're toying with my heart here, Blizzard. You're toying with my heart. It's
friends.
I don't understand.
We need good news. This is actually a buff for Brewmaster because so we don't multi-strike's nice, but we don't stack it to ludicrous and beyond like y'all do. So
we need to deal damage.
And we don't like haste either, so it doesn't matter. So we're just getting more damage, and because of how large it is, it makes our multi-strike healing from Expel, Harm, and Gift of the Ox Orbs, which also can multi-strike, more consistent. Brewmaster buffs, guys! Yeah!
Okay. I'll see your Brewmaster buff, and let's talk about the other changes now.
All right, I'll let you actually read Brewmaster then, Duke, since you seem like you're to kick me off this little happiness bit.
Yes. The first one hurts to say. Blackout Kick no longer increases the stagger amount for Brewmaster monks. Shuffle is now only a 10% parry buff. Stance of the Sturdy Ox now increases armor by 125%, up from 75%, and provides a 20% base stagger percentage, down from 30%. Additionally, the stagger effect no longer works against attacks which ignore armor. And lastly, Serenity now lasts 5 seconds for Brewmaster monks, down from 10 seconds. Hold on a second. I think there might be a table around here I can flip real quick.
Well, let's just do this the good, the bad, the ugly style, all right? First up, stagger effect no longer works against attacks which ignore armor. Need to change? Yes.
It's absolutely a need to change. It really is. There's when this is something that we can lord over the other tanks, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So this is things like bleeds. If you remember Malkrok from Siege of Orgrimmar, Brewmasters were notorious for solo soaking the blood rages. That's their big claim to fame in that tier, actually, is that they could do that very easily with their own cooldowns. You couldn't do that anymore with this change. That's gone. Okay. But then we get to the ugly of all of this. No stagger from Shuffle. Now,
wait.
Some people might go, well, it got baked into your base or whatnot from the 10% original nerf.
Not really.
Okay. But
not when we had 60% base.
Right. The problem is that now you're eliminating a lot of gameplay. Now where your chi goes has one less place to be prioritized. They're in an ideal world, and I'm not saying it's ever been this ideal world. In an ideal world, though, you are balancing Shuffle versus purifying off frequently enough versus guard and having the cheat for that. There's an interaction between the three that you need to maintain. That's basically gone. The right answer will always be will be purify or guard. No longer will you prioritize Shuffle.
Basically, at the simplest level, the Brewmaster is now get to 4 chi, save guard for when you need it, keg smash, keg smash and maybe blackout kick if there's nothing going on, purify a little bit more often because you're not going to get up into red purify all that often, so you might as well purify the green as much as you see it. You're not using the chi for anything else. If you want to Breath of the Serpent, go ahead.
I mean, so interesting thing, lowering our stagger without speeding up the dot ticks actually makes it so you don't need to purify as often. Purifying actually lost value in this.
Yep.
And I mean, to what you were saying, Duke, you could literally sit at 4 chi when Keg Smash is about to come up, blackout kick and Keg Smash and sit at 4 chi again. And you do
not lose any output, whether it's survival or damage, from energy capping now.
So technically you lose a smidge from 10% parry. However, parry is RNG, and that is such a small amount. It's a min-max thing. You will have it at the higher levels, yes. But for your basic player, there's nearly no loss at all from just sitting at 4 chi. There isn't. And this is opinion, I think that's terrible for gameplay. That is completely cutting out a pretty important part of the spec. I mean, not that saying that balancing those resources has been a thing, because, I mean, to be quite honest, purifying hasn't been terribly important because of how things are balanced right now.
It really hasn't been terribly important since Siege of Orgrimmar.
I mean, and a lot of suggestions have been flying around the community. One of the easier to understand ones is just half the duration of stagger. That stagger dot is suddenly hitting you for twice as much as it does now. Now you're going to purify it because it hurts.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
And what that does is it makes so you take Chi Explosion. Now you're taking a lot more damage for it. There's a lot more downside, a very noticeable downside. And even if they kept the stagger out of shuffle, you'd still actually probably want to purify because of how hard that dot could tick on you. So you'd be using like 2 Chi Explosions and purify when the dot gets bad. That would still be a thing. But if you take Serenity or even Soul Dance, gasp everywhere, then there's actually now there'd be a balancing act going on because you're going to want to purify more frequently to reduce that damage. You'll still take it a bit more smoother, but you want to purify it because you will feel the effects of it quicker. I would say 10 seconds right now is too long. The damage is smoothed out too efficiently, even at Red Stagger. And then Holy Paladins, because they ruin everything. So, but this isn't a how we hate Holy Paladins. That's on Paladin Perspective next week. Not really. Next week on Paladin Perspective, why we
God
hate...
damn it, why do tanks have to take damage?
But let's get away from this level of gloom and doom, and we're going to just 2 or 3 notches up, and we are going to go to Windwalkers. So, Duke, how about you read those patch notes off to me and tell me how it really is?
Windwalker. Fist of Fury now deals 5% less damage. Hurricane Strike now deals 5% less damage. Chi Explosion now deals 5% less damage for Windwalker monks. Do you notice a theme?
This is better than the first iteration of the patch notes.
Technically, it's not.
Well, okay, yes,
mathematically,
you're right.
It's not.
So it was weird because the first iteration we had this really weird thing where all of our abilities suddenly did 30% less damage.
They nerfed all of it except for Rising Sun Kicks. Rising Sun Kick did not get a 30% less.
And then they also, in Tiger's Eye Brew, they made that 10% versus 6%.
Yep.
And I guess the way the math worked out, that was overall a buff.
But your single target was wildly out of control, and I'm really glad that they're continuing to rein that in as time goes on. Duke, do you have any comments on the continued balancing of your single target while keeping your cleave at a solid place?
I mean, seriously, the problem I'm using the word problem to describe a situation in which monks are overpowered. The problem only appears during fights in which there are significant sustained adds. You don't see Windwalkers topping Thogar. You don't see Windwalkers topping Kromog. You don't see Windwalkers topping Flamebender. The one fight that we shine on is Iron Maidens, and that's because those 3 women are up the entire fight. And then we can use Storm, Earth, and Fire. The main problem we had in Highmaul was Twin Ogrun, in which those 2 dudes were up the whole time. What was the mountain dude? Tectus. He was,
Tectus.
When he split into 2, there were 2 of them up for the rest of the fight until you killed them. So anytime you have an ad that can stay alive for more than 10 to 15 seconds, we're going to be amazing. Our problem is not our single target. Our problem is our cleave. If they want to rebalance us, to bring us a little bit closer to the top, or maybe even bring us to 2nd or 3rd, they need to leave our single target alone and just nerf Storm, Earth, and Fire. And if they came out tomorrow removed all of these changes and said Storm, Earth, and Fire now deals 15% less damage, every single monk would nod their head and go, yep, that seems reasonable.
I cry a little.
Also interesting that how they go about the changes, like Blackout Kick and Tiger Palm, also has an effect on Brewmasters and Mistweavers. And
especially Crane.
Crane stances in particular, and that's a little concerning to me because I feel like that's something that should have its own individual spell IDs. Because for Brewmasters, it always ends up, Brewmasters out of line, nerf Keg Smash. Mistweavers out of line, buff Gift of the Serpent orbs. That'll fix them. And then you look at Windwalkers and like, Windwalkers out of line, nerf their single target through every spell that all 3 specs use, which never really made sense to me, I guess. But I mean, at least outside of Chi Explosion abuse for Brewmasters, I don't see the damage too overpowered or too out of line. Windwalkers don't seem out of line single targets. Like you said, it's only when there's consistent cleave. Yeah,
that's it. And we're not the only ones with a really awesome cleave. Let's go talk to some rogues.
Look at Enhancement Shaman on Bloody Margok. Yep. They're not getting nerfed into the dirt with their single target.
No.
And I mean, that was like a single fight, which Windwalkers get like, what, 1 or 2 per tier that they're incredibly amazing at? Ish?
Yeah. And let's not forget Fire Mages.
Yeah. Well, if you're Fire Mage or a Hunter, you're always good. If you're a Mage or Hunter, you're always good because you always have a spec that can handle it perfectly.
Yeah. So I don't understand. I hope someone from Blizzard is talking. Please, for the love of whatever you believe in, leave our single target alone. It already hurts.
Nope. Just wait for the cleave fights. Get your rogues ready, team, for the real fights. So you better hope
nice
Archimon like splits
when the ad would come up for a bit.
Just hope Archimon like takes himself and just rips himself in half, and then they regrow, and you fight 2 of them. There you go, Windwalker fight. You'll be brought to the last boss.
The too long didn't read of the Windwalker changes is that the first patch notes were a buff.
Technically a buff.
A buff to the top players, a nerf to anyone else. Now it is technically an overall nerf by a little bit.
Yeah, something like 3 3/4%.
Including our single target when it maybe should just be our cleave. So, hey, let's iterate some more, Blizzard, please.
Iteration. That's the model you guys use, and let's go and use it. Da-da-da. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get out of the salt mines for a little bit and take a quick break and impart some tips and tricks for those raiding monks in
Fist of Fury. It's go time.
All right, so this week we are going to start with Chromog, a boss which I have spent a whole raid night wiping to actually on Thursday. It was lovely, let me tell you. And just quick general tips. Transcendence is great with a personal cooldown if you don't get in a hand for whatever reason. Because, you know what? You just didn't see that yellow thing, or that mean old Disc Priest or Holy Paladin ran over and stole it from you, because yes, they do that sometimes, and they're jerks, and you should hate them. Touch of Death, Mythic, amazing sauce. Going into Brewmaster, though, like I said earlier, you can use Transcendence to completely ignore the Grasping Hands and come back down for Thundering Blows. If you want to be super extra precise about it, and I want to thank Niren for pointing this out to me, at 5.1 seconds of Thundering Blows, if you cast Transfer, you won't even leave the ground, and you will not be knocked up. You'll still take the physical damage, and you can pop a guard as you will get a bit of resolve from the AoE, and that will completely negate the phase entirely for you. And you can go run out there and spinning Crane Kick and Keg Smash and all kinds of stuff. If you're doing Heroic or Normal, Touch of Death is great for breaking out hands of people who are a little bit slower and are in higher health pool. Helps with that a little bit. Mythic, definitely use the pillars. For every slam, just use guard. Use guard and you win. Frenzied, normal, 3 stacks, 4 stacks, guard. And you win, because we're fair and balanced for this tier. Thank you, Encounter Design. Talents and Glyphs, pretty easy. You can use Healing Elixirs or Dampen Harm. Take your pick. Dampen Harm helps with the slams, which shouldn't really be a problem. If you don't feel you need it for whatever reason, you're not under geared or whatnot, then go for gold and use healing elixirs for a little bit more consistent healing throughput on yourself. You want to use Shufflin for your 90 talent because it's a single target fight mostly. However, I did notice on Mythic that he decided that he wanted to go chomp on Kromog's toes and not the pillars, no matter what I told him to do. So don't rely on him for that. But your mileage may vary if for some reason your kitty actually listens to you. I've always learned that kitties kind of just do whatever they want. So there is that. And then finally, 100s. Serenity is your safe option. If you're noticing it's not really much going on and you can get away with Chi Explosion, then go for it, because more DPS helps kill the boss before the boss kills you, particularly in the Frenzy phase. It also helps you do more DPS to the pillars in the pillar phase if you're doing Mythic. So that's a thing. Moving on to Windwalker. Air, if you could start us off with the monk mechanics.
Certainly. So, for this fight, got a bit of a handsy boss. It's good, though, because we got hands ourselves. So, it's single target fun overall on the fight big guy until you get gripped. So in that gripping phase, think about maybe pooling some Tiger's Eye brews, saving your energizing brews to just unload on those hands, because you really want to get everybody out, not as fast as possible, but, as fast as possible once he's done doing all of his damage. What I always like to do is make sure I'm casting Stormwrath and Fire around me as well, and then just spinning Crane Kick to win, Fist of Fury to win. You got so much AoE damage in that one area, it's really, really nice. Touch of Death is also good to break out that last bit of your hand, or if you're out quick enough, someone else's hand, which is really nice. You do have to work on your timing, though, depending on how fast you are killing the boss. The first set of hands you can always get a Touch of Death on. That second set of hands might not be enough time then to get one on the boss where it really matters. So maybe you got to do Touch of Death, Touch of Death, Touch of Death on boss if it fights long enough. If it's shorter, like the fights we're running right now, Touch of Death, save it for the boss. And that's how we play the fight. Duke, what do you got for glyphs?
For glyphs, what you want to take is Diffuse Magic, because it helps with the stone breaths. It actually helps with a good amount of information, because with a good amount of damage, because there's a lot. There's only one physical damage that he does, the stompy hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's it. Everything else is magic damage. Everything else is nature damage. So Diffuse Magic is perfect. But if you are getting hit by those shockwaves, use Dampen Harm.
Now, you shouldn't be getting hit by the shockwaves because you're awesome and you can move fast. But if you have trouble with that because
giant hands that go up in the air, and then it goes boom. And between hands up in the air and boom, there's about 37 minutes. You've got time to move.
Well, and it's a little, if you remember the attenuation from Heart of Fear, those little sound wave things, he does that after every ability.
But they're not physical damage.
But Dampen Harm will help you in that?
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not physical damage. They're sonic damage. So they're part of they're magic damage again. So that's where you want to use magic.
But Dampen Harm also reduces 50% any harm, magic or physical.
Is it? Only if it's above a certain amount.
It's got to be like 15 or 20% of your health.
It's
got to be a good chunk of your health.
You for that. So you can take 3 of those and a slam to help you out if you want that. But I like to Stone Breath just in case the healer is out of range, if I'm running the wrong way for any reason, and it kind of saves you for a bit.
At least I've noticed for Mythic, particularly sub 30%, those breaths are nasty. Really nasty.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely might be something to take just to help mitigate the breath along with Touch of Karma.
Yeah. It's one reason why I like taking the glyph of Zen Meditation also for this fight. Because after that 30%, when things start coming fast and furious, you can Zen Med while he's doing a Stone Breath, and in case he's going to do his Shockwave at you, you can still get out of the way and not lose your damage reduction. So that's another glyph that you could possibly take. As for talents, you want to take Schwen because he's awesome. And for Serenity, it's great when you get off on the pool. It's great when you need to take down a hand or two. Because honestly, you should be getting out of those hands as quickly as possible and then getting your healers out as quickly as possible. If you're one of those people that gets out of your hands and then starts DPSing the boss, turn around. Those are your friends. They should not be in hands anymore.
Exactly.
Well, if you're like me, you don't like your friends, so you're kind of okay with it. But that's not a good precedent to set. I'm
Tanks
also
don't
a
have
jerk.
friends. Tanks have
Oh,
damage
yeah.
reduction.
I just have healers. I don't have friends. I just have
Yeah.
healers and a support crew to kill stuff. All right.
For
and then
Mistweavers.
we're gonna wait. Let's wing it. This will be fun. So for Mistweavers, make sure that you have all your rems out before each Stone Breath. Also, if your raid groups can have a melee stack and a range stack, so that you can stand in either and get effective healing out of your spinning to win, whether that be through RJW or spinning crane kick or whatnot. Definitely. Beginning of the fight, pretty much outside of breaths or preparing for breaths, you can pretty much crane stance. There's not that much damage going out outside of those, and those are oftentimes cooldowned through anyway, so you might not actually need the raw throughput until like
Honestly,
the frenzy
yeah.
phase.
Yeah, like you're going to be in crane stance until he hits that 30% in rage, and then that's where you switch to serpent and start healing everybody through what's going on.
Definitely.
So when it comes time to stand in the hands and get out, you should already be in crane stance and already be in a place where you can get yourself out quickly so that they can focus on the other healers.
The biggest thing is just preparation and anticipating when things are going to happen. You don't want to be caught switching from crane to serpent just as something's happening, because remember, you always need that bit of ramp up time for renewing mist to get out for uplift.
Yeah, and it's a very timer heavy fight. He does things in the same order over and over and over again. So it shouldn't take you long to understand. This just happened. I need to do this. This just happened. I need to do that. That kind of thing.
He does also do really funky things. Like he definitely went like one time he'd stone breath, then the other time he'd make pillars appear. Then the next pull, pillars appeared, no stone breath. And the next pull, breath, pillars. So there is that, but you can kind of figure out when it's going to go. If you have a cooldown timer, you get a rough idea. Just kind of be aware as you do pulls, as you figure out what's going on. It's a thing. And gosh darn it, because we're going to hammer this on all three bloody specs. Touch of death, touch of death, touch of death, touch of death.
Yes.
And then
There's no reason not to touch of death the hands.
Dadgummit, touch of death pillars.
Do not glyph touch of hands. Let's put that out. Touch of death. Do not glyph it for this fight. You should not have that glyph equipped. You will use it multiple times. Doesn't matter which spec you are, you're going to use it more than once.
Listen, team, because this is important. When you're playing a healing class, you need to get that number 1 DPS parse. So getting Glyph of Touch of Death prevents that. And
It's not like we're going to top healing meters with a paladin.
You got a paladin disc priest. You're not topping any healing meters. So you need to go for what really matters, those damage meters. And if you can beat the tanks or DPS, you can now shame that person and feel good about yourself while they wallow in self-misery. Beyond that, though, talents, mostly similar to how Windwalkers have things set out. You're 90, probably looking at RJW or Chi Torpedo. Take your pick. And then if
Probably
you take
Chi Torpedo, honestly.
Depends on your mana. If you have those spirit trinkets because you're in a guild that decided to give you loot and bosses were nice to you and stuff, you probably could sustain some RJW during the breaths. Just even one cast, I would think. And then 100s, I'd assume Pool of Mist, because it just gives you ramp up time, gets it going quicker. So you don't need like the full 8 seconds before the breath. You can just 2 or 3 globals before.
Mm-hmm.
Anything? Yeah. Sorry, our resident Mistweaver's in Vegas right now. Blame him. Quality show, Chai, abandoning us.
Cut to I don't know what I'm doing gif.
Yeah, that's what we need right now. Gosh, dang it. That is what we need.
Mistweaver strat, heal people, I guess? I don't know. What do they do?
We sit in crane stance, we punch the boss, healing happens, and the Holy
Rizzo
Paladin
in
stops everything.
the chat is talking about how the damage intake is so high that Mistweavers, you probably will be in Serpent Stance the entire fight, and you can do a lot of healing on that fight. Then again, if you're already progressing on Chromog, you probably already know this. So, yeah.
At least
we got what's this next boss coming up?
Oh man, we'll start. So Iron Maidens. Let's start with Windwalkers on this one.
I like
You
it.
wanna go?
Windwalker, this is our fight. This is where we rock. Okay, if you don't have a fire mage, this is where we will be at the top. It's very fun. you chi explode everything. That's kind of what you do. Storm, earth, and fire. Use it. Love it. Get it set up. You're gonna want to
it's the one fight you actually want it on.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, like you probably want to keep yourself on Marad. Put a clone on Sorka. Put a clone on the Garalon. Marad never moves. They're the ones who's actually being tanked. They do the blood thing, makes it really easy to move around. Sorka's spinning about everywhere, so the clones are good on that. And the other one, she's shooting stuff, so put a clone on that, because then you can be set to go. Keep yourself, orient yourself, so that when you Fist of Fury, you are cleaving onto the other ones as well. Same with ChiBurst. You want to make sure you're trying to hit all of them as much as possible. If you do happen to get picked for the boat phase, don't worry. You are useful on that. Your touch of death is up for every boat phase. So if you're having trouble getting it down, that's 300k hit right there. That's a few seconds of extra time, and so you can get in to, or if your rate's progressing slower on the boss, 3 touch of deaths in, and then a 4th on the boss. So that's 1.2 million damage right there, which is nothing to sneeze at.
And then Duke, you want to do talents really quick?
Sure. Talents are real easy. You're going to do Ascension and Chi Explosion all the time, every time, no matter what. Guess what you're doing? Shufflin is amazingly awesome for that nice cleave. And if the bombs are giving you a problem, dampen harm. But really, if bombs are giving you a problem, just get better.
Or get on the boat.
They're really, or go on the boat. But if you're on the boat, you're not supposed to be there. Let's face it. The one time I saw the boat phase, it's because I was logged on to my Death Knight. Because if you're on a monk, they keep you on the dock.
Yeah. And then Brewmaster, pretty quick and easy. Our big thing is guard. Guard in Fort Brew will allow you to tank Marok's boat without a healer, which makes beating that little DPS check for it very easy. So do that if you can. If you do need a healer, that's fine, but it makes it super, super easy if you can get that down. When the bosses go to 20%, or one of them does, and Marok starts to do the AoE death and love happiness because your Disc Priest fell asleep at the keyboard, bubbling everyone, Guard is easily the #1 tank cooldown for making this do no damage to your raid. Use it, abuse it, and love it. You're also a really good tank for taking Marok's blood ritual because of guard and stagger and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Talents, Shufflin, don't do RJW, Shufflin. Chi Explosion's alright, but Serenity's probably a bit better if you're initially progressing on it. Kind of same for everything. Dampen Harm to help with if you're soaking on Mythic with that lovely, lovely debuff from Marok. So, not too rough. And then Mistweavers, have fun crane stancing until 20%. Hooray!
Yep. And go to the boat.
Mistweavers
want to be on the boat.
Yep. Your crane stance can help meet the checks on that. It's pretty important. Talents for 100 talents. What do you say? Just
Pool of Mists.
Pool of Mists, yeah.
Probably want to take Chi Torpedo as well, unless you can really RJW it, because since you can bounce back and forth between melee and ranged, but
yeah,
really it's you crane stance until the last 20%, and then you turn into a stationary healer.
Right. And then, so with all this talk though, and all of the salt put away for now, it is now time to travel to the Peak of Serenity, the homes for all monks in
Zen Pilgrimage.
Monks, assemble!
So today I want to take some time to talk about ChiBurst. As part of our Patreon, we've committed to help cement ChiBurst as a central gathering place of the monk community. Part of that involves addressing the forums, which have been rather quiet of late, and I am personally guilty of this. Last week, Calligraphy from Temerity jumped on board, and so we've asked her to come to the show and explain what is happening. How are you doing, Callie?
Hi. Yeah. So actually quite a lot is happening. Actually getting some discussion. I know that a lot of people were talking about how, it's kind of a ghost town. Well, We've rearranged the forums. It's definitely, in my opinion, more conducive toward organizing discussion. Someone told me basically that it, whenever they first encountered it, oh gosh, there's so many forums. Where do I post? Where do I post?
Mm-hmm.
And well, it's all organized by spec now. You have 2 new areas, and one of them has been changed. So let's get into that in a moment. First, there's 2 groups. Mythic Raiders. These are people who have killed at least one boss in the current tier, which right now is considered Blackrock Foundry, not High Mall. So these are people who are rating Mythic. That's their progression level. And then the other one is Theory Crafters. And these are the people who are doing your hard number crunching, maybe posing other problems. And this is where the 2 new forums and the Check Me forum come a little bit more important. So are any of you guys familiar with Arena Junkies?
I've heard of it before, yeah.
Yeah, so Arena Junkies there were 2 areas. The main theory crafting area required you to have Gladiator, I think in the current season or in the previous season, in order to actually be able to post to it. But it had another section where you could ask them something. So this is kind of the same thing. The theory crafting section can only be posted to by a theory crafter. The Ask a Theory Crafter, anyone can start a thread there, but only theory crafters and currently Mythic Raiders can respond to those. The other forum that's changed is the Check Me forum. So this is the one for, hey, I really I should be putting out more damage, and I don't understand what's going on. This is where you would post up, your armory, a couple of logs. Any theory crafters and Mythic Raiders can post here. Mythic Raiders, I should add, it's not even just the progression level, but whenever they apply for Mythic Raider, they have to show that they can actually read a log, that they can look through it and point out, hey, this person's overriding Tiger Eye Brew, and really put in that analysis versus just simply, oh yeah, I've killed a mythic boss. So it kind of should be a little bit more helpful in that sense, but also theory crafters, because, well, what do we do other than look at SimCraft is we look at logs. So, obviously people who already have history with the community, they've already been put into those groups. And then if you feel that, hey, I'm rating Mythic, I know how to tear up a log, or I know how to solve, 1+1, I can make a spreadsheet. There is an application already up, just PM me to it, happy to look over it, and right now it's fairly open. I am definitely looking for more staff. I want to have 2 moderators for each spec. Reason being is that I want the moderators actually involved. It's going to be much more strict moderation than what you would get from MMO Champion in order to keep better discussions. But it's not going to be elitist jerks where you're kicked off the board because you posted up one bad post. That wouldn't be very conducive to discussion. So yeah, get involved, start posting there. We're kind of doing a soft launch right there. Maybe do a slight facelift on it. But yeah, it's already getting some discussion. Definitely looking for moderators.
So what you're saying is, I'm assuming you're implying this to me, is LeBlue, stop being bad. Go post on the forums you're supposed to. Okay, got it. Yep. But thank you very much, Callie, for stopping by to let us know.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So
definitely trying to get the word out.
If you all want to be part of the ChiBurst community, head over to www.chiburst.com and register on the forums. Also, our Patreon has helped fund projects like this, ChiBurst right here, the facelift and everything. So, and if you'd like to contribute, please visit patreon.com/monkmeditation and help us out. Thanks again, Callie.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah. All right, guys. So, I think it's time that we put the brews away. So, first up, as usual, the iTunes reviews. Please rate us on iTunes or Stitcher, subscribe on YouTube or on twitch.tv. Would you like to help support the show and help it grow and get even better? Become our boss by going to patreon.com/monkmeditation. You can help guide the future of the show and get some fun rewards along the way. So, some sign-offs and shout-outs. Air, do you have any?
Yes, I do. So I'm going to give a shout-out to Purple Mist. Quillen, sometimes known as in a show, for in his guild, check please, as they progress on Mythic Black Hand. good luck. That's a hard fight, so hope you guys can get it down.
Yeah. And Daikatsu?
Shout out to Cuddles in the Convert to Raid Mega Guild. I got to have breakfast with him this past weekend and had a grand time. You should also go listen to a show, The Game Case Show, at www.thegamecase.com.
Did he let you rant for 3 hours? He let me do that.
I haven't been on his show, but dinner was only 45 minutes.
All right.
Or breakfast was only 45 minutes.
And then shout out to Chai for letting me steer this ship into the bottom of the ocean. And thank you again to Callie for stopping by and letting us know about ChiBurst. And of course to all of our Patreons who continue to support us as we move forward with things like chiburst.com. As part of the Monk community, if you have a blog, website, or person you want to see on the show, reach out to us via email at show@monkmeditation.com. The Monk community is the best one in the world of Warcraft, and we want to showcase it. Daikatsu, how can the dojo best reach us?
Oh, you can follow the show at monk_meditation. Follow Chai T's adventures through the bowels of Las Vegas at WowMonk. Airwalker, who can be found trolling weird places that serve bacon in Japan at Airwalker. Daikatsu, who is about to go raving mad insane with a move to Orlando, is at Daikatsu CTR. LeBlue, who is being forced to move into the deep south at Kagarai_LeBlue, and Adam, who got a wonderful gift today for Heroes of the Storm News at Geek of Random.
Thank you all for listening. You can watch us live Monday, May 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, midnight UTC at twitch.tv/wowmonk, or visit monkmeditation.com for links to all the ways to watch and listen to the show. That wraps up this episode of Monk Meditation.
May your brews be strong and your heart stronger.
Have a good night, everybody. All right. Chai hasn't sufficiently never let me host again.
I rolled a 20.
Whoops.